Psalms 100. The Bible says, make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Know that the Lord, he is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people, and the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving, and his courts with praise. Give him thanks to him. Bless his name. For the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness is to all generations. Folks, I would like for you to do something with me tonight. I want you to look at something, but you'll not be able to see it through your normal sight. No, you will not be able to see it if you use your frontal vision. You will not be able to see it if you use your peripheral vision either. If you're going to see what I'm trying to show you tonight, the only way that you're going to be able to see it is if you look through your mental vision with your mind's eye. So please do me a favor and clear your thoughts. Relax your mind. Even if you wish to close your eyes to make it easy, be my guest. But for the next minute, what I want you to do is do not focus on the things that are in front of you. What I want you to do is to focus on my words and what you can see with your mind's eye. Thank you so much for those that are watching online. We do appreciate it. I pray that you would join us in this as well. So if everybody is ready, let's get started. First of all, I want you to notice there's a man standing over there all by himself. He's over close to where the seashore is. His clothes, they're not flattering by no means. His white hair, showing years of trials and tribulations, it's windblown today. The wrinkles have replaced the staunchness of his face. A long coat wraps tightly around his fragile body in a futile attempt to try to give him warmth. His eyebrows are brushy, showing it's been some time since they were last tended to. His posture wanes from where it once was, causing him to bend a little from the waist because of the wear and tear of life. His steps are no longer steady any longer. The sureness of his stride is diminished. The pains that he exhibits are almost painful for one to watch as he tries to go from point A to point B. The days of his youth are nothing but foggy memories now. If ever there was a picture of an old man, he would be the perfect model for the painting. Rain, shine, sleet or snow, hot or cold. Every Friday afternoon at sundown, you can see him. Never mind the weather, there he is like clockwork. If you look, You can see him standing right up against the ocean's edge. Look where he is in your mind's eye. See him right where the breakers stretch as far as they can inland, only to be sucked backwards and caught up again by another breaker and delivered up again on the seashore. Listen. Listen. Can you hear the waves as they land ever so gently onto the shore? Have you ever heard a more peaceful or a more serene sound? What's that you say? What's that shiny thing he's holding in his hand? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because that shiny little item that he's holding in his hand is a small metal pail, and it's got a handle on it. But it's what's inside of that metal pail that I want to draw your attention to. You see, it's filled with shrimp, fresh shrimp, that he has recently purchased from a local fish market. Now, what's that? Was he going to the beach to have a shrimp boil? No, I'm afraid not. That isn't the purpose of the shrimp or what he's going to be doing with them. But if you'll be still for just a second and watch in silence for just a minute, you'll see what he's going to do with those shrimp. And it might just surprise you. There. Did you see that? He reached his frail hand into that little metal bucket and took out one of those fresh shrimp, held it up over his head, and actually fed it to a seagull. Watch him for just a minute. There. He did it again. Did you see him? That's right. He fed every single seagull he could, one shrimp at a time, until they were all gone. What's he doing now, you might ask? He's standing still. He's turned to face towards the vastness of the ocean. And there he stands, listening to the breakers gently lap against the shore. And he's remembering. What's that? What's he remembering? You see, him feeding those seagulls is done to show his heart of thanksgiving for a sacrifice that was made for him so that he might live. You see, that elderly man standing over there that we've been looking at, he's none other than Captain Eddie Reichenbacher. He was an American fighter pilot in World War I and a Medal of Honor recipient. As a matter of fact, Captain Eddie had 26 aerial victories, the most success and most decorated U.S. flyer ace of the whole war. What's that, you ask? What does that have to do with the seagulls? Well, folks, let me here tell you something. That's a very, very interesting story. You see, one time he was in he was a B-17 Flying Fortress. There were 7 others with him. They were somewhere over the South Pacific. They were on their way to deliver an important message to General Douglas MacArthur. But something went terribly wrong. In that B-17, they got disoriented. As a matter of fact, they got lost. And out of radio range, they had no communication with any of the Allied forces in order to try to triangulate to find out where they were. Well, to make matters worse, their fuel was running low, dangerously low. So they had no choice. They had to ditch their plane in the middle of the ocean. For nearly 1 month, they would fight water, weather, and scorching sun. Many nights, they spent it without sleep because giant sharks kept on ramming their rafts. I don't think I could sleep in a situation like that either. But the sharks was not their greatest enemy. Their greatest enemy right now was starvation. You see, after the first 8 days, their ration had long been gone. And what was left, the seawater messed up, destroyed. If Captain Eddie and the rest of his crew was going to survive, it was going to take a miracle. On the 8th day, the pilot of that B-17, a man by the name of Captain William Cherry, he read some scriptures, led them in a prayer that he offered up, asking for deliverance. They sang a song. It was a hymn of praise. Afterwards, there was a few fleeting words of shallow conversation. Then silence, and the waves against the raft was all that could be heard. Because of the oppressive heat, Captain Reichenbacher leaned his head back against the raft, pulled his hat down over his eyes, and dozed off to sleep. Suddenly, he felt something, as if something had landed on his head. It wasn't a dream. And in all reality, something had landed on his head. Although he doesn't know how he knew what it was. It was a seagull. And it had landed on the hat on his head. Everyone froze in time, not wanting to make a sudden move. He could see from under the bill of his hat the looks from everyone's face. You see, that seagull meant food. If Captain Reichenbacher could only catch it. Well, as they say, the rest is history. He was able to catch that seagull. That bird was cooked and divided as much as it possibly could have. But the intestines of that bird was used for bait. And that bait caught fish. And they ate fish. And the intestines of those fish was used to catch more fish. Until that Captain Reichenbacher and the whole crew had ate until they were all full. And now, rain provided pure drinking water that they had not had up until this point. With their hopes renewed, Captain Reichenbacher and the others were able to sustain and survive until they were rescued because of one lone seagull who, at approximately 100 miles offshore, totally out of the comfort of its home area, offered itself as a sacrifice for the crew's salvation. So now, in a show of respect and thanksgiving, every Friday evening, about sunset, Captain Reichenbacher, with shrimp in his metal pail, painfully returns to the ocean's edge, where the breakers stretch as far out to the shore as they can. And there, he offers his thanks to the seagulls for the one who offered himself for them. Now, if your eyes are closed, you can open it and you can come back to me. Tomorrow, as we gather with family and friends around a table of food that is set before us, along with the day, folks, let's not forget to give thanks to the one who left the splendor of heaven, descended to earth, far, far from home, and took the form of a mortal man, lived a life that was perfect in every single way, and then willingly sacrificed himself on a cruel Roman cross to offer something that without him, mankind would never experience. That being able to reunite with God through his Son's precious blood, to have our hopes renewed, and then to be able to sustain through the toils and trials of this life, and in the end, to be given salvation. But let's not forget Captain Reichenbacher. He had an attitude of gratitude. May we all have a continued spirit of thanksgiving. And long after the day is done, and we have eaten till we are full, our belts has been expanded by at least one notch, and all the football scores have been tallied up, let's never forget to return to our hearts that place, remembering and giving thanks to the one lone Son of God, being far, far from home, who willingly sacrificed himself so that you and I and we might live. If there's anything we can do for you this evening, folks, make it right before you leave here. And come now as we stand and sing.